Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show with me, Avan Dabash. In today's episode, we've got a fascinating Web3 company, a company that aims to bridge the gap between complex on-chain actions and user understanding in the Web3 space. As blockchain technology continues to evolve, the need for improved user experience and comprehension becomes crucial for wider adoption. Joining in today is the founder of Bytekode, a Web3 project that simplifies complex on-chain actions to readable messages, making transactions more accessible to users. Let's welcome on board our guest, Shlok Mange. Shlok, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'd like to start off by you telling us a little bit about your journey into Web3.
Initially, during COVID, I started out with programming, and that's where I was kind of stumbling upon new technology. That's where I heard about this new technology called blockchain, and I found that to be really cool. So I just delved deeper into it and learned about how different blockchains work, stumbled upon Ethereum, Bitcoin, and how these different mechanisms work. And just a couple of months later, DevFolio had organized a hackathon where if we built something on this cool technology called Matic, we would get like a special prize. So initially, just that curiosity kind of led me to going through the Matic docs, which is now Polygon, and I was kind of hacking around it, building new things on it, and that's how I stumbled upon Web3.
And so, Shlok, where did the idea for Bytecode actually originate?
If you look at any technology, if you want to get it to the hands of a lot of people, the first step would be is to make the barrier of entry accessible and just to make the technology easy. Right now, the current state of blockchain explorers, if you want to check how the funds are being transferred, or if we want to verify, our funds or our balances, we have to go to a site called something like a block explorer, and it's very detailed, and things are very complicated for a regular user. So I thought, what if there was a version that could simplify all that information and would personally help me as a beginner to read blockchain data and possibly help anyone else read blockchain data as well. That's how I thought about simplifying transactions and making transactions more human readable and more accessible. That's where I came across the idea of developing bytecode, and I thought, if no one else is doing it, I guess it's time for me to just start hacking and building the best possible alternative to a block explorer.
And which blockchains have been, currently integrated into Bytecode's ecosystem?
Right now, we are targeted on EVM blockchains. EVM is just Ethereum compatible blockchains. So we are right now active on Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, Matic, Celo, and Opera. Fund.
That's right. And can you tell us a little bit more about the kind of traction that you're seeing so far?
For the past couple of months, we've been indexing a lot of transactions and working on our own custom AI model that's going to give better and simplified transaction analysis. So far, we've pretty much indexed all the popular smart contracts. We've trained our transaction data. We've trained our model on about hundreds of thousands of transactions, and we've come up with a model with about 80% accuracy. And just to like test it out, we've done some tests with a few BASE NFT contracts. We've done some few Uniswap V2 contracts, and so far it's going great, and we should be out with a public beta soon.
I have to ask, what does massive success look like for Bytecode?
Initially, I thought about building the most sophisticated tech solution to kind of decode transactions as such. But right now, I feel that as more and more people are trying to get into the Web3 ecosystem, and there's a lot of FUD around it. So if people just stick to the technology, and if I could contribute to that anyhow with Bytecode, making the user experience much more seamless, making it more accessible for people to get into the ecosystem, I think that would be a great success metric, just to get a lot of people on board onto the Web3 ecosystem.
Well, that's interesting. And what other improvements do you think can be made in terms of Web3 user experience, which will actually help onboard the next billion users?
Let me just give you a quick example. If you want to, do like a simple action of trading tokens or trading any sort of currency, firstly, you'll have to download a non-custodial wallet like MetaMask, create an account. That account has a password that contains anywhere between 12 to 24 words. You have to write down that password, because if you lose that, you might lose all your access to your funds. Then just getting access to any cryptocurrency, you might have to create an account on an exchange, buy that, and after buying the token, and once you receive the token, you'll have to verify it on some sort of a block explorer. Once that process is complete, you'll have to transfer it to your MetaMask or any non-custodial wallet. Once the transfer is completed, you'll have to register and go on some sort of an exchange like Uniswap or PancakeSwap on Binance. You then have to kind of know about the liquidity pools and what are the best rates of getting the trading experience. And then you'll have to sign your transactions, confirm it on your wallet, and then the actual process of trading happens. So if you see, this is just one example. Just for a simple trading experience, users have to go through tons of steps in the middle. So if we, eliminate all these steps in the middle, we abstract away these complexities and handle all the backends ourselves, while giving like a seamless user experience to the to the customer. I think that could really help, onboard a lot of users to the Web3 ecosystem. So just like that with Web2 as well. So with regular internet, once the accessibility became really easy for users, a lot of people just started jumping in. And once they got like a lot of apps they could use on a daily basis, on a regular basis, it just got a lot of traction. And that's how the ecosystem just kept on growing and growing. And we're here based on that thing.
Sure. And Shlok, what are some of the recent developments in Web3 that excite you the most?
So just like I had mentioned, there's a lot of these complexities and a lot of these steps kind of hampering the growth of Web3, just because it's not seamless from a user's perspective. A lot of companies are working on account abstraction that basically just takes away all these complexities, and users can then just log in with their regular accounts, and on the back end a wallet will be created on their behalf and all the transactions will be managed. So we are still sticking to the core of Web3, having the decentralization and user ownership while providing them with a seamless user experience. I think this is where a sort of a combination of Web 2 and Web 3, like a middle layer, a sort of compromise called Web 2.5 exists. And I feel Web 2.5 would be the way to kind of get more and more users into the ecosystem. So having still stuck to the core of Web3 with decentralization, ownership, and trustlessness, while getting the best parts of Web2, that is the speed, user experience. So once we combine that, I feel a lot of users will be onboarded. And I see a lot of these recent developments in the fields of account abstraction and ZK technology. So that's they're just like really improving the Web3 user experience.
That sure is interesting. I want to also understand what kind of a role you think India is going to play in the Web3 story.
I think India is going to be like a huge hub for crypto adoption. A lot of Web3 infrastructure companies are out of India. There's Polygon, there's Byteconomy, a lot of Indian founders doing just great in terms of the infrastructure. And even recently, there was the ETH global event called ETH India that was held in Bangalore about 6 months back, and it turned out to be the biggest hackathon in terms of any crypto hackathons. So India is definitely going to be a hub. We've got super talented developers. We've got some really talented folks in the industry, and I think with the pace we are kind of growing and the kind of support we are getting from the ecosystem, I think India is going to be like one of the major hubs of crypto, and a lot of solid companies and a lot of solid technology is going to come out of India in the next 5 years.
And Shlok, what's that one thing that you would like to share with someone who's actually looking to start a Web3 company? What's the advice?
I think it's all about solving like interesting problems and the things you personally face. Like I personally wanted to build a better solution to kind of understand what's going on with the transactions. So then you just kind of go on the rabbit hole. You kind of research about the technology. Then you go backtracking it, and then you build on come up with solutions. Kind of experiment at, hey, if this is not working out, why don't I try a different approach? And eventually you'll have some sort of a working product. And once there's a product and once there's a proper problem being solved, eventually you'll come across being a company. So it's more about just solving the right problem, solving something that really excites you, and just building on top of it, and eventually a company is going to started solving the problems.
Okay, I hope people have noted that down. And what exciting features then can users expect from Bytecode in the near future?
Our core has always been to improve the user experience, and we are building developer tooling and other toolings on top of it. So just recently, we've been experimenting with a really cool app for live Web3 notifications. So all you have to do is just create an account, and anytime there's any transactions going on or any activity associated with your wallet, we're just going to deliver it straight to your app. You can also customize it and get it on Telegram or any other social channels like WhatsApp, SMS, or email. That's just one of the features we're working on. We're also building out a developer tooling that natively integrates with the non-custodial wallets. So just before you're confirming any transactions, or just before you're finalizing anything that's happening with your account, you'll get like a human readable version of what's happening. For example, just in the past couple of months, a lot of users just end up confirming a lot of scammy transactions. And what happens is, once you confirm those transactions, your private key data, your transaction details just go into the hands of bad actors, and they end up draining your wallets. So to prevent that and to prevent things like that happening, we're building an integration that non-custodial wallets can just integrate. And just when the users are trying to upload the transactions onto the Web3, sign the transactions, we'll decode that, we'll simplify it, and we'll make it really easy for them to understand what they are signing on. So in case any bad actors try to come in and try to steal their funds, so we've got that covered as well. And along the lines of developer tooling, we are working on our model that we are training it on more and more transaction data, and just to improve the model accuracy. And a couple of months down the line, we see this as a total replacement for block explorers.
All right, Shlok, thanks for that. We'll take a very short break, but we'll be right back as we continue our exploration of the innovative world of Web3. Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to the Blockchain Startup Show. Today, we're in conversation with Shlok Mange. He's the founder of Bytekode. How does Bytekode really ensure compatibility with different blockchain networks and different protocols?
The first approach we thought about was targeting EVM based ecosystem. So a lot of these blockchains, they have all their computation done on some sort of another layer, such as an L2, and the data is then stored and submitted on Ethereum as a proof of validity. So a lot of these blockchain protocols are by default compatible with Ethereum and EVM machines. So what I'm trying to do is, get all these EVM compatible blockchains. Once we figure out how the transactions are being decoded there, and once we have a really solid data set of, and once we have a really solid model, then we would like to expand to other blockchains as well, because each different blockchains have their own different architectures. And to target all of that at once, it would be like going in all different directions and getting nowhere. So right now we are taking much more systematic approach. Get to EVM first, target all the majority of the users, target majority of the activity, build tooling for them, and once we prove that the problem is being solved, we'll move on to other architectures and expand to other chains as well.
And what is the impact of AI, according to you, on this industry, given the leaps and bounds that we've seen been taken in the world of tech?
I think with the rise of LLMs and a lot of AI generated content, there will be a need that a couple of months or even a couple of years down the line, we'll need to prove that, hey, this has been created by a human, and it would be really difficult to distinguish if it's generated by a human or an AI. In that case, blockchain technology comes into picture here. So all the verification, all the ownership, that could be done through a blockchain. And as far as the role of AI goes into improving the blockchain ecosystem, what we do at Bytecode is we pretty much have our own AI model that can be used for classifying transactions, classifying user data, and get the user behavior on how it's happening. And based on that, each user gets a customized notification and a customized transaction message. So I feel AI in that sense is really contributing to the blockchain ecosystem. So a lot of classification and a lot of content can just be, simplified through AI, and that's how it's contributing to the ecosystem.
And how does Bytecode enhance the user experience to make it a little more intuitive for users to actually interact with the blockchain?
So one of our products is an API platform for apps and developers that can just go onto the platform, request an API key, and add their smart contract details. Smart contract is like a computer function that pretty much tells the Ethereum blockchain or any other blockchain what should be going on and what user interactions should be happening. So what we do is we read all the smart contract data, we read whatever is going on, and based on that we then figure out what the user is doing, then we map it out, and then we simplify it for users. So we have our own model, we pass it through that, and we get like a user generated, we get like an AI generated message that we then send it to the users that, hey, this is supposed to be happening with your transaction, so do you want to confirm it, or just you want to cancel it. And once the transaction is done, we even have a transaction simplification module that works in a similar way. So instead of users going to different block explorers to verify that, if they just have our extension on any non-custodial wallet, they can decode those transactions themselves, or if any DApp or app wants to integrate it within their smart contracts, they could use that as well.
Sean Shlok, do you think Web3 is for real or do you think it's just a fad? Why should one actually switch from Web 2 to Web 3?
It's not about choosing web 2 or web 3. It's about solving problems that users currently face and using the best possible technology to do that. For example, information access was a bit of a problem in the early 90s, early 2000s. Web 2 solved that, and right now the problem is with user ownership. So to solve the user ownership problem, web 3 comes into the picture. And I think the only way to go forward is to kind of get the best of both worlds and build the technology and tooling around it. So web 2 has a greater accessibility, a better user experience, greater speed, whereas web 3 deals with decentralization, trustlessness, and ownership. So if we combine the best aspects of web 3 and we combine the best aspects of web 2, and we sort of come at a middle ground, let's call it web 2.5. And if that's if we are then building apps to kind of improve the user experience, or if we're genuinely solving their problems, then I feel the industry is going to grow a lot.
Okay, that's interesting. And Shlok, what exactly are your views on the regulatory framework for blockchain? Do you believe it should be managed by a single entity, or do you think that the current government should be responsible for regulation?
Just handing the power to just one authority, that kind of defeats the purpose of decentralization. What could be happening is if all the major authorities kind of work together and kind of build a systemic approach that just allows all the transfer of tokens, or maybe all the currencies, then maybe that is really going to improve the blockchain adoption. But right now, with all the regulations coming in and taxing, I think the economy is going to be a little bit affected, and the technology is also going to be affected based on that.
And lastly, Shrok, addressing the barriers to entry and empowering users with the necessary knowledge, that is very crucial for boosting the Web3 adoption. So how do you see Bytecode's role in achieving this goal?
For any technology, for if you look at any general users, they don't want to learn the nitty gritty details. They just want to use some app or use some tool that solves their actual purpose. And that's what we're trying to solve at Bytecode. So instead of telling users that, hey, this is a transaction hash, or this is a block explorer, or getting into any of those complicated details, we are developing tooling, and we are ensuring that dApps or wallets can just integrate those and just make the entire experience easy for users. So let's say you're trading an app, or let's say you're trading some tokens or some currency. So instead of going through that entire process that I just mentioned a couple of minutes back, all users need to do is just click a few buttons, and that's it. They'll be trading tokens, and their entire experience will be similar to what they're used to right now, while they'll still be getting onboarded onto the Web3 technology.
Fascinating insights, Shlok, and it is evident that Bytekode is clearly revolutionizing the Web3 space by making blockchain transactions a lot more accessible and a lot more understandable for users. So thank you for sharing with us all that knowledge today.
Thanks a lot for having me here. It was super exciting to talk to everyone about the experience and the whole about the Web3 ecosystem. And I really, really hope this reaches out to a few people and maybe some people get interested into the ecosystem. And we work towards making India a proper Web3 hub in the next decade.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap on this episode of the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm Avan Dabash, signing off.